in Syria. The Russian involvement there has been extremely heavy-handed in crushing the insurrection there and helping the Assad government do that. But we got John Kerry on tape, the Secretary of State, the serving current Secretary of State at the time, explaining to some Syrian dissidents that, listen, when Russia intervened, it was because Putin didn't want a Daesh government in Damascus. Yeah. And that's almost the exact quote.
Yeah.
And Daesh means ISIS.
Yeah.
Daesh means the Islamic State. That's the Arabic acronym. And so, spelled out or, pronounced out. So just simple as that. The USA
and they were
put
incredibly
him in that
restrained.
position.
And they were incredibly restrained. I mean, there was that one incident where the American forces killed a whole bunch of like Russian mercenary types, and they really didn't make a big deal about that. And they were so part of that is what makes this situation interesting, because this is no question, this is the most flagrant we've seen Vladimir Putin in the whole 20 years. And there's part of that like you can look at this one of two ways. You can go, okay, but he's got a history of actually not being nearly as aggressive as the Western media makes him out to be. Or you could look at it and go, this is something different. Yeah. He's doing something different now. And perhaps it really is, something to be concerned about.
You know what, too? Rewind 4 years. And he gave this press conference announcing all his new nukes. Now, he wasn't kind of ranting and angry like he was in yesterday's, speech that he gave. But it was his State of the Union speech, whatever they call it there.
Right.
In 2018, where he announced this whole brand new generation of nuclear weapons. And he said, something very close to, I kept trying to tell you to listen to me, and you wouldn't listen. Well, can you hear me now? And it was like, yeah. And what's he talking about, man? He's talking about George W. Bush ripped up the anti-ballistic missile treaty. And then, so that sounds defensive, but it ain't defensive. It's like wearing armor to a fist fight, right? It's essentially changing the balance of power in a way to make it easier to be aggressive. If we can't fight them because of mutually assured destruction, then what does it mean if we ring their country with anti-missile missiles? It means that we're trying to make it so that we can launch a first strike, take out as much of their nukes as we can on the first strike, and then shoot down whatever they've got left. And then mutually assured destruction is canceled and we can have our way. And, Oliver Stone says to Putin in that thing, something like, hey, man, come on, this is all a boondoggle for the weapons manufacturers. Missile defense doesn't even work anyway. This is all just about the money and all that. And Putin says, listen, I think that's probably right. But I'm in charge of security around here, man. What am I supposed to do? You put a bunch of anti-missile missiles around my country. I have to make better missiles, don't I? And then, so what did he do? In 2018, he announced he's got these new heavy, a couple things. I think a couple of years before that, he announced this new heavy rocket that can has enough multiple reentry vehicles on it. They can take out every major city in Texas in one shot, one missile, not one bomb, but one missile has enough multiple bombs on it that they could take out El Paso and San Angelo and Dallas and Fort Worth and Waco and Austin and San Antonio and Corpus and Galveston and Houston and Port Arthur and completely erase Texas from the face of the earth with one missile. And then it was in 2018 that he announced, we got these new other heavier missiles and they're designed to go around the South Pole. We have no defenses whatsoever and we'll attack you from the south. And even in their animation, they show the rocket hitting South Florida, where, Donald Trump was president at the time.
Right.
And then he said they have a new nuclear powered cruise missile that has essentially unlimited range. They claim can fly around the world over and over, however long they want. And so can evade any defense and get to whatever target they want to use. Then he says they have a new nuclear torpedo, which is, completely untraceable and undetectable underwater, where they could, take out any of our ports or anything like that with nuclear torpedoes. And then, of course, the hypersonics, which are these gliders that supposedly can go faster than Mach 5 or even Mach 7, and which reduce warning time from half an hour to 5 minutes. or less. I mean, if you fire one from the mid-Atlantic, it'd be in DC in 5 minutes. And so it gives anyone on this side much less reaction time in the event of an emergency and the threat, the computer reporting an incoming threat and all this stuff. And then he goes, well, look, man, what do you think I was going to do? You tore up the anti-ballistic missile treaty. You start putting anti-ballistic missile, defensive missiles everywhere. You leave me no choice but to up my game. Game upped. Your move. And people should watch that. You can look it up, and they have just the segment. I just posted this on Twitter the other night, actually. They have just that segment where Putin debuts new nukes, 2018. And it's pretty tough, man. This is the guy. And the thing is, again, look, if it was up to me, Dave, I wouldn't make new nukes. Again, to me, unreasonable. But rational? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And would the average Russian sitting in his chair do the exact same thing in the exact same circumstances? Yes. Oh, by the way, that reminds me. Our current head of the CIA is William Burns. You and I have talked before about William Burns was the ambassador to Russia, who in 2008 wrote home to Condoleezza Rice, "Niet means niet."
Yeah.
We know this from the heroic Julian Assange rotting in solitary confinement in the United Kingdom at Joe Biden's behest right now, that they published this document. And it's about William Burns met with Sergei Lavrov, and Sergei Lavrov said, man, we have some real concerns about this bringing Ukraine into Russia thing, into NATO thing that you guys keep talking about. And so that's a really important one. People can look that up. Just type in "niet means niet," William Burns, WikiLeaks, whatever the hell, it'll come right up for you there. And you can read that.